Welcome to the deep dive. So, Kamala Harris has definitely stepped back into the spotlight recently.
Yes, she has. And specifically with a pretty short critique of Donald Trump's first 100 days in a potential second term.
Right. And we know you want the key takeaways, the important insights quickly, so let's jump right in.
Okay. So our main source here is a report from Snuffington covering a speech Harris gave in San Francisco.
And that speech seems pretty significant. It's where she laid out these major concerns.
Exactly. It frames it as her really articulating her view on the direction things might go under another Trump administration.
Okay, so let's start with the economy. Snuffington reported she had some very strong words there.
Oh, absolutely. She apparently called Trump's tariff strategy and this is a direct quote they reported,
Wow.
greatest man-made economic crisis in modern presidential history.
Wow. That's quite a claim. Greatest man-made economic crisis.
It really is. And just to, give that some context, tariffs are basically taxes on goods coming into the country.
Right, imports.
Yeah. And historically, you know, big tariff hikes can lead to other countries hitting back with their own tariffs.
Which can hurt our own exports and maybe make things more expensive here.
Precisely. That's the kind of potential instability I think she's pointing to there, that ripple effect.
Okay, that makes sense. But she also warned about something else, something sounding maybe even more serious, a constitutional crisis.
Yes. That phrase definitely catches your attention, doesn't it?
It does. What's behind that warning, according to the report?
Well, the focus seems to be on the balance of power, specifically between the president and Congress.
So,
She apparently highlighted the number of executive orders, 135 in just the first 100 days, and contrasted that with Congress only passing 6 laws in the same period.
135 orders versus 6 laws. That's
Mm.
quite a difference.
It is. And the concern reported there revolves around that idea of separation of powers. Are executive orders being used too much, maybe sidestepping Congress's job of making laws?
Is the executive branch getting too much power? That kind of thing?
That seems to be the core of it. The Snuffington piece quotes her, framing it as a calculated decades in the making shift toward unchecked executive power.
Calculated. Decades in the making, so suggesting this isn't accidental.
That's certainly the implication reported in the article, yes. A deliberate trend.
And this speech, where did it happen? You said San Francisco.
Yes, apparently at a gala event at the Palace Hotel.
Okay. And who was she talking to there?
According to the report, it was kind of a mix. Democratic donors were there, maybe some federal workers feeling frustrated, and the sort of core party supporters.
So, a friendly audience, presumably. What was the big message for them?
The central theme, as reported by Snuffington, was characterizing Trump's leadership style as a rapid, a high-velocity dismantling of American values.
High velocity dismantling. Wow.
Yeah. And she added, apparently, that this is something the country cannot afford to normalize.
So, trying to rally the base, maybe, create a sense of urgency.
That definitely seems like part of the goal, based on the report,
Yep.
energizing those key groups.
The report also mentioned her tone. Said she dropped the gloves. Didn't ease in quietly.
No, it sounds like it was very direct, forceful return to the stage. Assertive, maybe even urgent in tone.
Any specific lines that stood out in the reporting?
Yeah, her reported closing remarks seemed quite pointed. This isn't about chaos. It's about control. And what we do next will define what kind of country we get to be.
Not chaos, control. That's interesting framing.
It really is. Suggests deliberate action, not just random events. And there was another line mentioned, something about how fear can be contagious, but so can courage.
Ah, okay. So aiming to inspire action, not just sound the alarm.
That seems to be the idea, pushing for courage in response to what she portrays as concerning developments.
So if we boil it all down, what's the main argument Harris is making about these hypothetical first 100 days?
Looking at the points highlighted by Snuffington, her core argument seems to be twofold. First, a warning about serious economic instability driven by trade policy.
The tariffs.
Right. And second, a warning about a fundamental shift in government towards excessive executive power that marginalizes the legislative branch.
So economic danger and a constitutional danger running in parallel.
That appears to be the picture she's painting, yes. A dangerous acceleration on both fronts.
Okay. So you came here wanting the key insights. Harris, returning to the spotlight, is essentially flagging what she sees as potential economic and constitutional turmoil down the road based on this trajectory.
And that really leaves us and you with a significant question, doesn't it? Considering how direct this critique was, her reemergence, Is this the start of a major political comeback for her? Or is her speech more of a stark warning? A cautionary tale about the kind of future she's outlining, the path she sees things heading down?
Comeback or cautionary tale? That is the question we'll leave you with from this deep dive. Thanks for tuning in.